Hello everybody and welcome to Planet FPL, the world where everything revolves around Fantasy Premier League. My name is Suj.
And my name is James.
It's Friday. Well, as my kids and my wife do, they do that. You know that it's Friday, yeah.
No.
That meme. You don't know it. Well,
No.
we'll cut it into the intro, James. I'll show it to you. And it is Friday, midweek football, quick turnaround. So we will try and keep this episode.
Daniel Craig said on Saturday night when he was introducing, they all meme it, didn't they? It's the weekend.
I'm not sure. However, it is Friday.
There's the N'Golo Kante one at Chelsea, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's match day. Tomorrow.
End of another week, midweek, and fairly okay. We'll do a bit of a review of our teams, a bit of a review of the games, and then a bit of a preview before this weekend. James, you're still pulling the trigger on your wildcard tomorrow?
Yep.
Indeed.
Definitely.
Nice. So yeah, all well and good. Before we get into
Just to clarify, that's after deadline, not in the morning.
11:01, probably live on the deadline stream or whatever.
I'll do it like 7 o'clock at night or something.
Okay.
Just chill.
Okay. But yeah, before we get into the show, James, this time of year, I forgot about it last year, but it obviously has been all the rage in the last few days. The Spotify Wrapped thing that people are sharing.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I just have to say it to all the listeners because, I'm hoping most of the people that have
can't
shared it
respond to everyone, but thank you so much.
It just is mind-blowing. Like 5 years into the show, which started out as not knowing anywhere where it was going to go, the way it humbles me when I see all of them is mad. I mean, the biggest commodity that anyone and everyone has, including me, is time, right? And the fact that people are giving us their time, I'm sure they're doing two things at the same time while they listen to us, is mad. And the fact that people are doing it just is incredible. And most of the comments, I guess, generally are just like it's not. They feel part of the conversation in the room. Well, that's means the world because that's all we want to be, really. What you see is what you get with us, and so if they feel like they're part of the conversation or our friends, well, they are. So yeah, I just wanted to say thanks to all the people that have tweeted it because, just had to take a moment and be like, wow. And some of you need to get a life as well.
Yeah, good game. I want to know if anyone can top this, right? Our friend Stian. Bless him, our advanced tier patron, Stian. 9,993 minutes.
I'm sure I saw 15,000 minutes.
Really?
Yeah, I'm sure.
No way.
15,000 minutes.
Stian, you slacker. I want to know, like, can anyone let us know if you top 10,000 minutes? That's mad.
Indeed. And more than anything else, just like a massive thank you. Always welcome feedback, support, ideas, all of that kind of stuff as well.
Apparently you can upload videos onto Spotify now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which I think is too time consuming, but thanks anyway.
How was your game week, sir?
Very good. Very good, yeah.
Went well, didn't it?
In terms of game week rank, the best since game week 1, actually. Game week rank of inside the top 3, I'm in a 50k. 82 pointer takes me up to 210k, which I'm delighted with, having fallen to, 750k after the Salah hat-trick at Old Trafford. It's been green arrows chipping away constantly ever since. So
714 you hit. Yep.
Really pleased. Salah captain, Ovs. Attacking players doing the business for me, all bar Harry Kane. Callum Wilson, who I bought. There was a little bit of a gamble in terms of going Wilson for the 2 fixtures was my strategy. Losing Tony and Buemo, essentially I was losing 2 attacking players for 1 attacking player, and I really was judging it on Wilson versus Tony and Mbumu, basically.
Yeah.
So the fact he's outscored both of them with a penalty that very easily could have been saved, I'm delighted about.
Yeah.
Rafinha, also dodgy penalty. That shows you the difference, right? I could be looking at, if they'd both miss, what am I looking at for a game week, mate? I'm taking about 25 points off my total and having 57 or something, having a shit game week. Jota 8, Sonny 8, Ben Davis 6, which I didn't think at the time in the ground was Ben Davis' goal because I'm at the angle, the opposite side to the camera, and it looked like a weird illusion kind of ricochet.
Yeah.
So I thought it was an own goal. And then they announced it in the ground, Ben Davis, and
yeah,
I was like,
I was watching, right?
I'm sitting there thinking, ooh, have I just got a cheeky 15-pointer for Ben Davis coming in here? I'm not to be, but we'll take the clean sheet. And a 3rd clean sheet in a row for Jose Sarr as well.
I mean,
really
Wolves
nice.
doing particularly well defensively, although you can't see that carrying on this weekend, can you, with City?
And benched Matt Lowton. It's not the first time I've done that this season, and he's returned. This time I didn't get him off the bench. But yeah, really pleased. Blankers were Cancelo, Rudiger, Livramento and Harry Kane.
Nice. Very good. You've leapfrogged me again by a point, so it's nice. It's nip and tuck between us. But I had another green arrow as well, so I'm 1 point behind you, which is 213.
What'd you score?
73.
We do a doubles league with our patrons. We pair our patrons into pairs. High scorers of the week, mate. Me and
Must be lovely.
Unbelievable.
And I'm also
don't sign up to Patreon for the FPL advice. It's a waste of time.
Yeah. I'm also the Planet FPL Correspondent League Manager of the Month. Cha-ching.
Oh, I was going to break the news to you.
Yeah, no, I had a cheeky look this morning.
But
tied with Adam.
I was going to say, yeah.
Still,
Guna's got to win something this week, hasn't he?
I can grow a beard and Adam can't, so I'll win.
I'd not want to see you with a beard.
You were praying and hoping for a cheeky 15-pointer of Ben Davies. Well, I did get a 12-pointer of a Tottenham defender. My transfer that I was umming and ahhing about, should I, shouldn't I? In the end, I sold Ben White for Reguilon.
Reggie.
You were trying to push Emerson to me. I got the money for Reguilon, so I'll go whole hog. Why scrimp and save with an imminent wild card? And I benched. So I sold Ben White for Reguilon, but that meant benching Conor Gallagher, who was going to start and playing Reguilon. So that's an 11-point swing for me, which is massive. I had the Salah and Jota returns and the Rafinha return as well. But then blanks on the front line: Antonio, Tony, Kane,
5 points,
Cancelo, Rudiger, Trent. And then Robert Sanchez, that we'll talk about. I mean, he picked me up a 4-pointer despite not keeping a clean sheet, so I'll take that. Antonio,
very unusual for Sanchez, by the way.
We're talking some of those saves that he had to make in the second half were very good saves as well. It wasn't cheeky, like picking up a back pass type stuff. So when it was kind of one of those, bastard, he saved it when we were trying to win the game. But I could have been an Antonio goal away from catching you on the points, that little offside.
You've had an amazing run, mate.
Yeah, You've
been fantastic. Jumped 1 million in 6-7 game weeks or so.
And I feel well set as well going into this game week. And I mean, we've been talking about wildcarding after the end of this deadline for a while, and there's no guarantee that I will do it because I know my plan of action and I don't need to wildcard to do it. The only thing is, it does only leave 3 other weeks afterwards.
You got to do it at some point. Yeah.
Exactly. So
what you need to do then, I'm in no doubt, but what you need to do is have a look at the other weeks and look at what you've got and look where the swings are. For me, it's quite obvious to look at Rafinha in my team, terrible swing. Wilson in my team, terrible swing. The 3 Tottenham players I want to bin. Jose Sars obviously starts with a bad swing this week, but I might sell him as my 1-week transfer. There's too many swings for me to look elsewhere. Now, you haven't committed in the same way as me to people like Wilson, the Tottenham players and stuff, and just hit the fixtures.
No, exactly.
So it's not as a necessity to you. You just read out your team, just 100 mile an hour.
Sanchez, Rudiger, Trent, Cancelo, Reguilon, Rafinha, Jota, Salah, Antonio, Tony, Kane, Gallagher, Ben Johnson, Bissouma on the bench, and Ben Foster. So this week, I'm thinking Ivan Toney goes to Emmanuel Dennis, and I'll bench him. But it frees me up the money. I've got 2 free transfers. It frees me up the money to, after the deadline, bin Kane.
This is if you don't wildcard.
If I don't wildcard. Bin Kane to Cristiano Ronaldo, and Rafinha to Gundogan. And then the week after, I'm going to possibly look to upgrade Ben Johnson or maybe Reguilon to another Chelsea defender in Reece James. And then I've got 4. It'll be like my whole team will be made up of Liverpool, Chelsea, City in the back line and midfield. And then Ronaldo and Antonio up top. I don't see the major need to rip it up at the moment.
For the listeners driving, apologies if you just crashed your car for excitement of Suj talking through a formulated plan. It's quite exciting, mate.
Yeah. I mean, I look at it and I was almost tempted to go Alonso and Reece James at the back. So 3 Chelsea defenders plus Cancelo plus Trent. But not having the 5th one and having someone cheaper. And the best cheap option that I quite like the look of is Tariq Lamptey. He came on and he was lively. At 4.4 million. Once he gets into the team, he's going to create chances. Means that I can have a Gundogan instead of a Rafinha or Gallagher. So, yeah, I think there's a strategy there. The only thing is then, when do I use the flipping wildcard? When? There's no real time.
You need to look at it, mate.
Yeah, but this week I think my plan is ready. Ivan Toney's going to go down to Emmanuel Dennis. He keeps getting little price rises.
You know what I'd do, honestly, as an idea for you, because you are running out of weeks either way. I would look at every player in your 15 and jot down, if I had to move this player on,
when would I?
When is the right
exactly
time?
That.
And whatever your biggest is, and then who do you want? Okay, this is the best week to buy him. I think you'll find it's still going to be 16.
And it might end up being only 4 transfers rather than 6 or 7. But you know what? You don't need to necessarily. If the team's working fine, like every player in my squad, James, bar one, and that's Yves Bissouma, is up in value from when I bought them. Every single player in my squad. And some quite significantly as well. So you have to bear that in mind when wildcarding.
You're going to make FPL history here, aren't you? I can see this over Christmas.
Yeah.
Never mind Suj missing the FPL deadline. He's going to miss the whole activating the wild card. He's going to lose the whole wild card.
We talked last episode of why it's okay to burn a transfer, which I did. I might burn a wild card. Can you imagine that? Burning a wild card?
You literally could not burn a wild card. No way, mate.
No. Let's wrap up some of these games from the midweek, and we can then start looking at the weekend. I'm trying to turn this watch off.
Is that your phone going off during the podcast?
It's my watch. It's my watch. We started with Newcastle Norwich on the Tuesday, which I guess was so largely driven by the sending off, dictating what happened in that game with Kieran Clark. I mean, at the time, yes, he touched him. I did think that Pookie went down like a sack of potatoes.
So he had to, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, I get that. And then obviously the game's completely dictated by 10 men against 11. I thought Norwich did okay, you know. I thought Norwich actually played not too badly in the first half.
Not having that at all, mate.
You don't think so? I thought they were okay. I thought they didn't create enough chances, but I did think that they played decent football.
Listen, they played Newcastle United for, when was Clark sent off? Like minute
12,
11
15
or something?
Yes, early.
You play against Newcastle in a whole game with a man extra and you don't win. I don't care. There's no excuse.
It's not acceptable, but I don't think Norwich are like
I don't think there's many championship teams in that situation don't beat Newcastle.
Oh, wow.
There's no excuse for it.
But I don't think Newcastle were like, I suppose if it's bad playing bad, then they both might look good.
Listen, prior to kickoff, with Newcastle absolutely having to win, a draw wasn't going to be a disaster for Norwich, and it's not a disaster, reflect on it now. But the way the game situation happened, they had to win the game, and they did not have enough big chances. Obviously, Lise Melo could have won it right at the end. Dubravka makes a great save, although you could certainly argue that Dubravka was at fault for the equaliser. Piss poor from Norwich as far as I'm concerned. They had to, in that circumstance, win the game, mate. Yes, fine. They of course, to dominate the play, had 70% of the ball and all that. Of course.
From a results point of view, sure, they did have to win. I'm not buying any Norwich players. I'm not buying any Newcastle players, so it doesn't make much difference from an FPL kind of point of view. He says, actually might buy Billy Gilmour as, like, you know, midfield sub bench fodder. If he's on set pieces and he's 4.4 million, he can just sit there. I don't mind, because I do think Billy Gilmour will play most games moving forward now.
To be honest, Gilmour and Williams, respectively, are both decent budget options. I think I bought Gilmour the other day as the 4.4. There was no reason particularly. I thought if I end up with a 4.4 that has to be in my team over the next 2 game weeks because players get left out, that's the one I'll probably go for because he takes the odd set piece and stuff. He took a direct free kick immediately following the red card in this game. So I think, Gilmour could ironically be someone I don't change in the wild card, actually. So he may stay for me. Williams, I wouldn't personally consider, but if he's sitting there in your squad, it's not your biggest problem. He's playing every game at the moment. And Newcastle, at the moment's gone. With obviously that run that started with Brentford, then Arsenal, then obviously Norwich the other night, and Burnley at the weekend. They wouldn't be top of my list. I'm not thinking my 1 week punt, for example, I'm going to go Salah to Dubravka. I mean, that's just not on the agenda. I'm not considering Newcastle as a team for my 1 week punt. I can't get to St. Maximin. Maybe if I could have gone St. Maximin for the 1 week, but it's not affordable for me without a hit. Not going to do that. And I suspect they might get beat, to be honest. because Burnley very quietly are going about their business. And I think if they do, I think that could be curtains already with what they've got fixture-wise coming afterwards. So Newcastle, if you've got, I think you hold this weekend, obviously.
And then move off.
And then you move off, yeah. And that's going to be such an easy decision with the fixtures. You could make a case, certainly, if you've got Wilson, and it's Leicester away the week after. I mean, they're not great defensively. So, I mean, you could hold on for the one more. But otherwise, you wouldn't be looking at these two teams particularly. And at the moment, I see both going down.
Yeah, agreed with you. Leeds 1, Palace 0. Leeds will be very happy to get a home win and a bit of respite despite not picking up a lot of points recently. Palace will be disappointed not to get anything either because they've been playing well and are in good form. But all in all, it could have ended 0-0 had Rafinha not had a last-minute penalty.
Well, Palace could have won if it wasn't Benteke's miss. I'll take it you've seen it.
I didn't see. I was watching.
You've not seen Benteke's miss?
Was it worse than Aubameyang's?
No, that's miss of the season. I'm not having it. And if you're saying Neil Morpay, no. Good morning to my Neil Morpay guy on YouTube, who I'm sure will be back on my deadline stream tomorrow. Nice goal at West Ham, that.
I think Neil Morpay must go down as one of the most dislikable footballers ever.
Do you know what? It's so true. I was listening to an interview after the game. I was thinking, I can't stand you.
Yeah. I mean, Sam, our Brighton correspondent, tweeted after the game, he was so happy for Mopay after getting so much stick and putting the ball in the back of the net. I was like, but the thing is, if Mopay off the field is like he is on the field, then he's not a nice human. That's it. But Mopay for another day.
Yeah. Anyway, we're talking Leeds and Palace. So just quick note on Palace. There's certainly a trend at the moment I've mentioned this previously about Jordan Ayew playing in difficult away games where they want to do some defensive work. That's now Man City away, Burnley away, Leeds away that he started all of them, which isn't good news if you're kind of floating around the idea of Elise, for example. It's also seems to be the case if you were thinking Benteke, that when they want to use Zaha through the middle, obviously Edouard plays instead of Benteke. These are the trends that's happening with Palace's selections. Jeffrey Schlupp played. Now, Schlupp also played when they won at Man City, I'm pretty sure. That midfield three of Chiarte came in for that game and has stayed in since. Schlupp and Gallagher. Again, not certain that it's going to stay like that because I think they've picked that kind of energetic midfield three because you have to play a certain way against Leeds. And Ebe Eze is obviously on the fringes. It would not have been a good game to bring him into. The game was a bit frantic and very short on quality. But once Leeds kind of started running down brick walls, it really looked like Palace were going to win the game on the counter-attack towards the end. And if Benteke scores with that chance on the back post, they do. Definite penalty. I've had a few people say it's not. I'm sorry, he puts his hand above his head and he is moving towards the ball. It's definitely a penalty. Rafinha is very unlikely to stay on the pens. Click would be ahead of him but wasn't on the pitch at the time. And obviously Bamford is the regular penalty taker for Leeds as well. And before recording this morning, Suj, Marcelo Bielsa said that Luke Ayling and Patrick Bamford will be in the squad for this weekend, as long as they don't have any setbacks in the next 48 hours or so. They had an under-23 game tonight planned in. They're not going to play. And I actually think in Bamford's case, he may go straight into the team. I would not be surprised if they both go straight into the team because unlike with other teams, he likes to build up the fitness of these guys in the under-23s. It's a really rare thing now. I don't know why other clubs don't do it as much. Play call it competitive is wrong, but play a proper game of football. Bielsa goes down that route. So Bamford and Ayling have got minutes in them in terms of football. I think they could both start this weekend.
It doesn't change anything for me, though. Rafinha goes after this game.
Yep.
Simple as that. The fixtures are just dog shite with Chelsea, City and Arsenal as well, isn't it? In the next four.
And I think
I'm not interested.
Regular listeners will know, huge fan of Rafinha. I kind of defend him to the hilt, but I agree. I think after this game week, we're obviously in the luxury of it's obvious to sell him and we can even plan when we buy him back. I think others should look at doing the same. The one thing about him, though, is if he stays fit, he'll play all them games. There are sides you can look at and not worry about rotation. He's the only option from them at the moment. I did some analysis on Leeds for advanced and intermediate tiers on our Talking Tactics video this week. And one of the things I really wanted to look at in terms of, I think a few people have got this, are Leeds getting tired? It's what's wrong with them? And my analysis quite comfortably concludes is they're missing on goals at the moment for two reasons. One, Bamford's been injured, fairly obviously. 2, Jack Harrison's output has completely diminished from last season. But I also looked at things like running stats, tackles and stuff. They're basically at the same level as last year for these kind of defensive metrics and stuff. They're still right at the top for tackles made. I think they're second for ball recoveries. It's all still there for them. They're fine as long as we've got their players fit. And we've got 2 big players coming back this week. And it'd be a major plus for them. And then they're nearly back up where they should be.
Palace, the only real high ownership is Conor Gallagher. Any thoughts to come off or not get? Or, 6.2 now he's crept up to.
I certainly wouldn't stress about getting rid of him, but I would probably. I would be in a no-buy zone this week.
This week for sure. But the fixtures after are not bad, right? They've got a couple of home games.
You think, United away. He might have some joy in that fixture, But I wouldn't buy him this week. I would be in a position. My current thinking is he won't be in my wild card. Is my current thinking. I don't have the information of the impact of Eze, but at the time that you and I wild card, or if you wild card with me, Palace have got a brilliant run. Goes smack into Everton at home.
Yeah, yes, I'm looking. I own him now, and I'm like, do I want to sell him or not? Three of the next 5 are home games against Everton, Southampton, and Norwich. Everton, we know what the troubles they've got. Norwich, obviously, right at the bottom of the table.
Everton's beyond troubles, mate.
Yeah, and then the away games, Watford, who are down there as well, albeit changing under Ranieri, but down there as well. We're talking about them in a sec, and then Tottenham away as well, which is going to be difficult, but. For your 5.8 or 5.9 or whatever you paid for Conor Gallagher, it's okay. You bench him in 1 or 2 of those games. So Gallagher might ride it through for another 5 more games for me at the moment. Although I've made good money on him, so it might be a chance to take that money and spend it elsewhere. Let's move to the Wednesday game, shall we?
Do that.
Southampton 2, Leicester 2. Desmond
2-2. Probably was about right in the end, actually, from what I've seen of this game, although Jamie Vardy absolutely should have won it. I was surprised that he played, following Brendan Rodgers' comments about he would struggle. Does that put him in doubt for the weekend? I don't think it does, personally. I expect him to play again. I guess he's not been playing much in Europa League, and that'll probably be the break for him. If you've got Vardy to hold, and arguably he's a short-term one to consider, I think. Madison's playing better, scored another good goal. Harvey Barnes could easily have scored as well. I was thinking on the way in, actually, about Barnes versus Madison, and I've looked at the data, but my instinct would be to go back to Barnes, even though it burnt me so bad.
Wow. I mean, Madison's dropped to 6.7 million, which is as cheap as he's probably been in a while, a couple of years, I would say. And you look at those 2 double-digit returns, 10 points, 16 points.
Villa away this weekend, then Newcastle at home. So there's a couple more good fixtures. Defensively, it's just not right. Siunshu's not playing well at the moment. I thought they would benefit massively from Johnny Evans coming back into the team, although he scored at Southampton. That's not helped them defensively as yet either. Tielemans is nearing a return, which will obviously be a big plus for them. And that also could have an impact on Madison, because Samari is obviously playing more. Is there a guarantee with the fact they're defending badly that he's going to move Samari next to him, did he? So Madison, it's a no from me at the moment. Generally, Leicester is probably a no. If I was to punt one on the wild card, it'd either be Vardy very short term to move it on, which I don't like because I'm shifting the whole value of my kind of squad structure. Or I'd still go Barnes, like madness. Saints, the forwards are going to be a problem every week if you pick any of them. Breuer, Armstrong, Adams. I guess no one's buying any one of them bar Breuer now.
Yeah.
I can't work out from game to game who's going to play and who can't. I don't see the pattern in it of how it's working. The only one really to debate is obviously Livramento. There's a few, should I come off?
Time to cash in or not?
Which is okay if you do, but remember what your expectations were, and are you going to anything that's better? Now, we might talk about it in a minute, but if Suj really thinks that Ben Johnson's going to hold on to his shirt, then I can see that move if you've got the luxury to do it. Otherwise, their fixtures aren't too bad going on, and I think he was always going to be, I think before they lost at Liverpool, there was play him every week kind of attitude. I never thought it was going to be that way. Like, his returns were never massive. It was like 9, 6, 5, 7. It was stuff like, it was fine. It wasn't like it was missing out on Lundstrom's 21 pointers and stuff. He was just ticking over nicely. What a brilliant first sub to have. And I think most weeks that's probably what he still is. That said, he might go for me as early as today.
Let's talk about the Watford 1, Chelsea 2 fixture. Obviously, hugely disrupted by the breaking play in the first half. And Watford probably frustrated. I mean, look, if somebody's had a heart attack, you stop the game. But they were gathering some momentum. Chelsea scored with 2 attacks and can be clinical like that and what have you. But it wasn't a all singing, all dancing, easy performance for Chelsea, was it? They did make 6 changes, which is weird because when I was talking to some of my West Ham guys after our game, I'm like, oh, great, Chelsea, here they come. They've made 6 changes, but it hasn't really weakened them. Who's their best 11 anyway with Chelsea? So it's going to be a tough game at the weekend. But the interesting thing from a Watford point of view, and Dennis and King and these guys that people are looking at, Watford are attacking, right? I think Watford, I don't know if you agree, but under Ranieri, I mean, they went for it in this game. And I think they'll go for it at City. So I think they'll be happy to lose 5-2 or something stupid like that, but just at least have a go rather than try and keep it tight and get beat anyway, which means I'm tempted to play Dennis if I buy him. I don't know your thoughts around that.
This weekend?
Yeah, just like they're going to go for it. I feel like Watford are going to go for it. You never know, they might nick one.
Probably not.
I wouldn't risk a defender or a
deciding factor on that might be Kyle Walker's availability.
Okay.
Because if Dennis stays on the right and plays against Zinchenko, he might have some joy actually. But I wouldn't fancy him up against Cancelo. Or if he drifts to the other side up against Walker, I wouldn't fancy it so much. And him and King can rotate position a little bit as well. So it might be they'd look at King doing some defensive work during the game. Statistics-wise, the underlying numbers, Josh King's well outperforming him. It's worth saying.
Yeah. Apart from the stat of FPL points.
The important one. And also, obviously, Dennis is a lot cheaper as well.
Not a lot anymore. He went up, I think, yesterday. He's 5'4" now, and 5'6" is King.
But
so
5'4" is still...
He's cheap, but the difference between the two of them is only 0.2.
I suggested this on one of the pods we did on Patreon earlier this week on my stream yesterday.
Might have both.
I might go both, yeah. And I haven't done a draft yet or anything, but I'm really considering that as a kind of strategy idea of Ronaldo, King, Dennis for the Wildcard 3. They've got 3 very good fixtures, then a few that's more difficult, and decide at that point with more information which one to keep and which one to bin. That's part of my idea of thinking possibly at the moment. I mean, they're doing really well offensively. It feels like not what I expected it to be, but I think Ranieri's gone in there and judged it and looked at the makeup of the squad. Think back to when we spoke to Stephen Toomey pre-season, we laughed about how many forwards there were. They've got lots of attacking players.
Yeah.
So use them. Ismail Assar, unfortunately, looks like he's going to be out really long term. But then, from the fantasy perspective, it adds to the strength, ironically, of Dennis and King in terms of knowing, their first choice is probably going to be João Pedro, I guess, as the third forward gets the nod. You got Cucho Hernandez there. You got Ashley Fletcher in the background as well. But Dennis and King look like they'll play really regularly at the moment.
Yeah.
And it's interestingly, in terms of those who are thinking of wildcard in this week, cheapest goalkeeper pairing you can have at the moment, Foster and Bachmann, right? Cost you if you buy them new at 8.3. But who wants to go down that route and block themselves, ironically, treble Watford? So I don't think I can go Foster and Bachmann. I will have one of them because I mean
Foster's still there for me, but he's injured.
Even if I sat there with Foster or Bachmann and King and Dennis, fine. I'm not gonna, remember we said Mr. Sissoko might be the best 4.5. That's an insane one to buy and block yourself at the moment. I can't
exactly
believe
that.
it.
I mean, I looked at Sissoko and I thought he's an interesting option, but I'll end up going Billy Gilmore because of exactly what you're saying, not wanting to block myself up.
After they play City this weekend, as I said, Brentford away, Burnley away, Palace at home. They're not easy, but as a group of 3 fixtures, could I see you attacking returns in there? Yes. And if you look for them all the way up until, I think they go to West Ham away in game week 24. They've got West Ham at home 20, Tottenham at home 21. They don't play any of the big 4, if you want to include Manchester United in that, till game week 27 away. And then they don't actually play any of the big 3 again till they go to Anfield in game week 31. So there's real fixtures there. I mean, it's fairly obvious when they're just playing them all, obviously. But yeah, I'd be surprised if our wildcard don't have 3 Watford. I think it's going to be at least 2. It's at least going to be 1 goalkeeper and 1 attacker.
And how many Chelsea are you thinking? I mean, they rotated. Reece James got a rest. Alonso owners will be livid of losing the clean sheet and him getting a yellow card. But I think it's fine. You just kind of keep the faith. At least you know he's going to be playing there as left wing back. So yeah, and I heard an interesting thing post game. Like Mason Mount scores, and now he's Chelsea's joint highest top scorer this season with 4 goals. I was like, really? I don't think he's played a game, has he? And then I remembered he scored 3 in 1 game. So he's basically scored 4 goals, 3 against Norwich, and in this game, and he's become Chelsea's top goal scorer, which shows they're spreading the goals around because they're still sitting up there at the top of the table way. So, yeah, thoughts around Chelsea? I've only got Rudiger.
Yeah, and
Big Lukaku coming off the bench
That
as
might
well.
even be the way it stays. I think very importantly, no information as yet on Reece James for the game at West Ham tomorrow. Generally, for most of you, I think it's a hold. But if I haven't got clarity that he's available for game week 16, I mean, he's not going in the wild card. I'll just stay with Rudiger, and I might make that decision anyway. Chelsea were extremely lucky to win this game. They could have lost it, in all honesty. Look, I mean, Watford had 50% of the ball. It wasn't just a counter-attack strategy. Like, they went for Chelsea, what you said, right?
Yep.
In defence of Chelsea, I look at that team that started the other night, and I think there were only 3 of their best 11 in that team. Which is Mendy, Rudiger, and Mason Mount. You could make a case for Christensen. That midfield, Alonso, Sal Niguez, Loftus-Cheek, and Azpilicueta, if that 4 turns up together at West Ham on Saturday, Chelsea will get beat.
I don't think so. But let's talk about West Ham 1, Brighton 1 then, shall we, on that note?
I don't think Chelsea will turn up with that.
Of course not, no.
With that.
I mean, the whole point of rotating midweek is to rest players fresh for the game against us. West Ham 1, Brighton 1. To be honest with you, it was not a good day at the office for West Ham, but in the cold light of day, the day after, you look back at it and you think, well, what was the possession stats in the game, James? Do you remember?
I don't know. You went to the game, not me.
No, but as in you'd look at the stats afterwards. I wasn't counting the passes.
I can tell you Brentford had nearly 60% last night.
Yeah, 75-25, give or take, to Brighton. Yet we created more big chances, had more shots on goal, more shots in the box. And yet every West Ham fan...
What did you say Brighton had possession?
75%. 70-something percent, wasn't it? Second half was more.
No. Second half 65%, overall 66%.
I thought it was definitely a point where it was 75 in the second half. They dominated.
This is, I mean, to be honest, that's a little bit higher than what I'd expect. But in terms of you said pre-game, who's going to have more of the ball in that fixture? I would have said Brighton very comfortably. We would have known it. Yes.
But yeah, so they created plenty of chances as well. They could have scored as well. I think in the end, they will be disappointed with a draw. We're happy with a draw, yet we could have won it. And it's the same for the Wolves game as well.
I'd feel that's the other way round.
They will feel that with their dominance in the game, they should have won it.
Nah, it's the impact of the way the game ends. So for you to be 1-0 up, forget what's happened previously, to be in a position where you're 1-0 up and obviously they went down to 10 men because Lallana got injured and they run out of substitutes. At that point, you got to win the game. To walk out the stadium having drawn, you don't reflect on the 90 minutes and go, oh, that was kind of a fair result. You're in the position, you're 1-0 up at home against 10 men, see the job out. It's disappointing. Whereas they may have looked at it and gone, we've deserved something today. But then because of the manner of the way they get the equaliser, with it being a brilliant goal overhead kick from Morpay as well, they walk out the ground feeling like they've won. You walk out the ground feeling like you lost. You might feel different.
We did walk out the ground feeling like we lost, but I'm being very rational here. Like that was not.
Most West Ham fans aren't rational.
That was not a West Ham throw away a lead. That was West Ham can't cling on to a lead because we didn't deserve to be in that position in the first place anyway. But looking back at it in the cold light of day, I mean, Sanchez had to make a number of saves to keep West Ham out. Questions around Antonio being leggy and looking tired and what have you. This is the problem within the team at the moment. And you look at it and it's an easy excuse to say that players are tired. But when you look at the mistakes that they're making, they are the type of mistakes that tired players make. Like dropping a ball 5-yard pass a yard short. Like you don't drop 5-yard passes a yard short. Or taking 3 extra touches when you need 2 and then losing the ball and that kind of thing. So Moyes seems reluctant to make changes when everybody else can see what's happening on the pitch at the moment. He didn't make many changes until late against Wolves after they scored, and he was reluctant to make changes here. I'm going to hold Antonio. Maybe this is me being stubborn and biased, and I know that it will come for him, but I'm probably going to hold Antonio. Jared Bowen should have scored at least twice. Anyone looking to buy Jared Bowen, I wouldn't be put off it. He's still picking the ball up, running, driving, shooting. He loves a shot. Like if it was a Sky, he loves a shot. So I would be looking at Jared Bowen as well. And Ben Johnson moved to left back to cover Creswell. Whilst Creswell's out, Ben Johnson will play left back and Soufal will play right back.
So have you got a timeline on Creswell? Because I thought he was going to be close.
He was out running this week, but whether or not he'll risk him against Chelsea and throw him back in, I don't know.
I bet they will.
You think so?
So if he does, who plays right back?
Well, Soufal had a decent game considering his first start post injury. I think he'd play Soufal.
Really?
Soufal's a better defender, a more combative.
Why are you trying to ruin my idea of getting Johnson on Wildcard?
I don't think they'll throw Creswell, and you're the one that thinks they'll throw Creswell in. But let's see.
I think if Aaron Cresswell's available, Aaron Cresswell plays.
On the flip side, I put a tweet out. I put tweets out that get a lot of likes and love, and then I put tweets out that don't get any. And the ones that don't get any are actually the ones that
I don't like.
With common sense. Brighton are the fourth best team in the league. Brighton are the fourth best team in the league. And the second best pressing team in the league. Like you watch them against.
Who's the best pressing team?
City. You can't beat City at the best team. They'll hunt you down, get the ball back, and you have no time with the ball. But Brighton are so good.
I would put Liverpool above them for pressing, and I would
slightly different style.
And I would debate on occasion Leeds United as well.
Yeah, at the moment though, I mean, I'm judging on what I have seen of what we have played. Brighton was so good.
And Southampton,
and
actually.
You look at the frustration from the other side of the fans booing, and you think they've just drawn again against us, and they've dominated and created chances. I can understand Brighton's frustration because everything they do, they play so well. They were so good. And like every West Ham fan in and around me was like, we're getting slapped here. And we were. Not one was like, oh, what's going on? We're playing back. It was Brighton are first to the ball, nicking the ball back, neat passing, triangles, finding angles, creating chances. Yeah. Only thing putting me off Tariq Lamptey is that I already got Sanchez in goal. And do I want to double up on Brighton? That's literally the only reason I'm not going to look at Tariq Lamptey if I wildcard to get in as my fifth defender. I don't want any of the others, really, because they'll do what Brighton do, which is draw every game and not score enough goals. But Lamptey, 4.4 million, I'll have a piece of that, thank you.
Yeah, Lamptey is certainly worth a look. There is some problems with it, and I'll give an example, right? So you look at some of their fixtures, like they've got Brentford at home in game week 19, and then they've got Chelsea away in game week 20. Now there's 3 days between those fixtures. What Brighton don't want is Tariq Lamptey to have a setback. They want to be in a position where they can start him for a game and use him as an impact player in another game. I think that's where they're at when they've got 3 games a week at the moment. Which one does Lamptey play? Is it Brentford at home or Chelsea away? You'd want him for the Brentford at home, right?
He's the type of player that, if he's on the bench, is likely to come on because late in a game, when you want to stretch a team, someone pacey to cause them problems, he will.
Going to Stamford Bridge, and then you look at it and you think of the matchup and going, Lamptey against Alonso.
He'll batter him for pace. Anyway.
And I'd look at that and go, well, I'd want Tariq Lamptey to play at Chelsea. So then does he play Brentford at home? And literally just by doing that, if you remove the Brentford game, Brighton's fixtures don't look quite so clever.
Yeah.
So just something to bear in mind. But I think he's a great little option that you've got to have your eye on because playing 100%. Higher up the pitch at the moment. I can see me going without them. Like he'd be only him and Sanchez, the two you're speaking about.
The front lot will frustrate the shit out of you. They don't score enough goals.
On Antonio, just before we move on, because I think this is really relevant. He's got 66 FPL points this season. He's got 26 since game week 3.
Yes. He's not been particularly prolific.
Mikel Antonio has played since game week 3. Every game bar the game that he missed through suspension. The defeat to Manchester United after he got sent off at Southampton. He has played 90 minutes in every game that he has played. He has 2 goals, 0 assists. Those 2 goals were the late winner at Leeds and the goal from a set piece against Tottenham.
Okay.
You could ask why is he still sitting now
in the team? Because and as a fan who's watched every game, I can explain. Had he scored, had that goal been allowed for offside, whatever else?
God, that took ages, didn't it?
A long time, and we didn't. Well, the thing is, in this ground, it first flashed up VAR checking possible foul.
That's correct,
and it disappeared. And
definitely
like,
wasn't a foul.
Fine, and then it goes. Then it came up checking possible offside. I was like, are we working through a list here, a checklist of every way they can disallow this goal? Yeah. It was annoying. And then, obviously, it's debatable. They're like, okay, well, Duffy touched it twice. Is it a second phase of play? Is it not?
Unintentional.
It's not even worth debating. It's not a goal, right? It's not been given. You can. What's arguing about it going to help?
It got it right. But I have to say, it took me about 12 looks at it myself to actually see
it was a long wait.
It had hit Antonio. And that's why it took so long.
I get it.
You couldn't tell.
But had that got...
There was only one angle you could see it definitely hit Antonio.
All I look at is, are West Ham creating a lot of chances? Yes, we are. Are we scoring goals? Yes, we are. And is Antonio still playing up top as striker? Yes, he is. And I see that continuing. So that's why I'm sticking with him, because everything around it is still showing me signs that he will score goals. So it's a bit of stubbornness maybe as a fan, but West Ham are still creating chances and he's still getting in and around it.
Here's the thing. For me, if you've come through Liverpool, Wolves, Man City, Brighton and decided to hold, you've now got to the last difficult game, Chelsea.
Correct.
Which, depending on the midfield they've got at the weekend, may not be anywhere near as difficult as it looks. I'd be holding if I got this far. Those fixtures afterwards, very nice. Once this game's out the way, I think we look at next 8 fixtures afterwards. West Ham and Man United will be the 2 best for fixture runs. I would hold because there's a beast there.
I think so. Agree with you. Let's talk about the exciting Wolves 0, Burnley 0. Oh, there's a bit of sarcasm in there. I didn't watch it, so can't comment.
Jack said, Turfy Toppy said Charlie Taylor played really well. I'll trust him. There was a lot of angst from Wolves fans with Adama Traore for not passing through to Raul Jimenez. However, guys, 6 inches lower and he scores a weldy and no one says nothing, right? So we know that he frustrates and you take Traore for what he is, and the taking him for what it is, actually, it means he's probably going to be sold, actually. Wolves, I think, have scored 12 goals. That's all, which is a little bit worrying. The flip of that is 3 clean sheets in a row is obviously very good, and that includes obviously one against yourselves, which prior to the game none of us were particularly expecting. So defensively doing fine. Offensively, for me, you wouldn't consider anything other than Jimenez. Hwang, if I was sitting there with Hwang, I would really be looking at Emmanuel Dennis right now,
100%.
For example. Not necessarily this week. They've both got bad fixtures. But certainly afterwards, yeah. Wolves now walk into a dog's dinner with a bad run. Burnley have got a good, consistent, longer run. We can predict their team. Tarkowski will come back in. Ashley Westwood will probably come back in. They return from suspension. What Dyche likes to do is he likes to change his forwards later in games. So you should be aware that if you are going for Maxwell Cornet or Chris Wood, there is always the possibility that they could get withdrawn early. We've got a few people worried because Chris Wood was withdrawn before the hour. Just wasn't getting involved as much, and I think Sean Dyche was looking for a little bit more pace on the counter-attack against Wolves, the more Wolves went for the game. I still think Chris Wood, I'm not aware of any injury issue. Do double check that first though. I still think Chris Wood is a really good punt.
Yeah, and Cornet also?
Yeah. Yeah, I could well go, I think I could go Wood instead of King, for example. If I decide right now, sorry, I'm going Dennis and I've got the little bit of money there, I could consider Wood. I can see Cornet landing in my team, actually. One thing on Dennis, by the way, sorry, just what I remember, because Cornet obviously could go to the African nations. First thing, the African nations is ages away. It might only be next month. There are a shitload of game weeks.
Correct.
So if you want to buy Emmanuel Dennis, this isn't a problem. So was it game week 21 or so? Mm-hmm. Fine. So what, you've got 5 game weeks in between? I think I want to say game week 22, sorry. Game week 21 is probably going to be fine.
It's like 20%
and
of the season.
On Emmanuel Dennis, a shout out, friend of the show and patron Joe Finley Badder at Amrabat on Twitter, who pointed out to me, he hasn't played for Nigeria for a year. Apparently he's had a big bust up with a coach. and there's no guarantee he's even going to be in the African Nations squad.
Okay.
There's also no guarantee that the African Nations is even going to happen.
Yes, that is
so
true.
If you want Emmanuel Dennis, buy Emmanuel Dennis.
Aston Villa 1, Man City 2.
I think it's actually a good result for City, all in all. I mean, obviously winning is a good result, but with the players they had out, the fact that it had a routine nature to it. But Villa did really well to stay in the game. The goal Villa scored is bizarre, that Raheem Sterling's standing with Watkins, and I think actually Sterling is meant to let Watkins go. It looks like he doesn't track his run, but I think Sterling's meant to let him go into that area rather than follow through and cause congestion, and they just don't pick up his run. Gundogan missing out. I'm still not sure what's happened now.
He's flagged at the moment as yellow.
I don't know what the issue was. I've not seen any comments as yet. We'll obviously get all the information today, I'm sure, from Pep's cryptic press conference. I prefer Gundogan over Bernardo if he is fit. Now, if Gundogan is out for a little bit, but I keep saying week on week no to Bernardo Silva.
He has started every game since game week 2.
If Gundogan is out for a while, then I really, really am interested in Bernardo Silva. Yeah, but I still think that can change, Suj, because you've got De Bruyne to come back in, you've got Phil Foden to come back in.
Of course it can.
And I'm not convinced that he's I think, I want to say Bernardo scored
5 goals.
He scored 5, right? The statistic was he got 5 in his previous 55 or something.
Right.
So there's something there at the moment. I'm not convinced it will last.
Yeah, I'm saying I'm in the same boat as you. I'd rather have Gundo, and if I know Gundo's out, then I'm definitely thinking about Bernardo.
But yes, week on week, Bernardo is becoming more on radar. I just don't like it knowing that you've got KDB and Foden to come back into that system. Guardiola's kind of hinting at the moment that he wants to be playing Raheem Sterling more. I don't know what the impact of these things are on Bernardo. I think Gundogan is a safer one. Now, interestingly, I think mainly because of personnel, they changed system a little bit for this game. Obviously, Fernandinho played alongside Rodri. They played more of a double pivot. And that also helped in terms of Bernardo obviously getting so much closer to Gabriel Jesus than perhaps would commonly do. Kind of broke into a 4-2-4 at stages. Look at City's bench. Foden was obviously back on it. Jack Grealish was on it. It's full of kids. It's full of kids. They need to get played. They've obviously got a lot of absentees there at the weekend, right? Stones, Laporte was suspended. No Kyle Walker. KDB we've spoken about. In attacking areas, they're a little bit light. And we know they're kind of integrating Cole Palmer into the first team squad and stuff. But a little bit light right at the top end. I think it's pleasing for City to win the away game with Nathan Ake in the team. Villa, keep an eye on. Matt Targett went off injured, so those who've had, and Ashley Young didn't start anyway. Ashley Young will most likely cover at left back for those who have seen an OOP opportunity there. Watkins, I'd keep an eye on because obviously Ings has had a setback. It's Leicester at home this weekend, then Liverpool away. Good fixture this week. Bad fixture next week, although he scored 4 times against Liverpool last season.
Yeah, that was an anomaly.
Then Norwich away, Burnley at home. So over a little period, there might be something there for Ollie Watkins. He won't. I'm not wildcarding into Ollie Watkins away to Liverpool, personally.
Liverpool 4, Everton 1. Was Everton 1, Liverpool 4. As expected. That's all we can say about it, really. What else did we expect? Well, I probably expected a clean sheet for Liverpool, to be honest with you. And Damari Gray managed to get himself back on the score sheet. But Salah scores, Jota scores, Liverpool smash Everton. This is, you know what?
Say it.
When I listen to some of the talk after it, I mean, it's a Merseyside derby. It's the game with the most red cards ever. You expect it, regardless of form of the teams, to be combative or what have you. Perhaps it hasn't been made enough of in the media of how big the gulf is and how much of a slap Everton got here.
9 tackles in the game from Everton.
Successful tackles.
Just tackles. Tackles won 6.
So 6 out of 9 they won. Wow.
So
okay.
this is the point. And listen, that's not particularly an especially damning statistic. I mean, for example, Tottenham only made 8 tackles yesterday, but weren't pressing Brentford until Tottenham got into kind of their final third of the pitch. Newcastle only made 8 tackles, but then obviously they were a man short and obviously really sitting off Norwich. Brentford themselves only made 10 tackles at Tottenham. It's not that uncommon, but I think what you do think is, for Everton to have a chance in this game, get near the fucking ball. It doesn't mean you have to go and press, but when people come into your zone, mate, a tackle. I watched nearly all this. I can't remember a tackle in the game.
Wow.
Exactly that. Exactly what you're saying, Merseyside derby. And it's that will piss the Evertonians off more
Massively.
than anything.
Yeah.
They don't go into playing Liverpool and expect to win. They do expect their team to go out there and die for it.
2 points from 21 is now turned into 2 points from 24.
What did I say on the pod the other day? I think it was on the Q&A on Monday.
Rafa's not going to last.
Well, I said to you, if Antonio Conte got 2 points from his next 7, he'd get sacked.
Yeah. Arsenal at home, Monday night next week.
Yeah.
Could be the nail in the coffin.
Well, Marcel Brands has come out and backed him, apparently, so apparently not. Arsenal at home, can't see anything at the moment, to be very honest with you. Palace away, can't see anything. Chelsea away, my goodness. Then, ironically, they walk into a really good run of fixtures. And I'm pretty sure you get Calvert-Lewin and Yerry Mina back into that team, and it will look a little bit better. Did also, in my opinion, be better off playing Anthony Gordon at the moment. Bless his soul. If you can find a little video of Anthony Gordon after both the Brentford and Liverpool defeats, boy, looks like he wants to cry on the pitch with the abuse that the players are getting from the fans. And he's not one of them that deserves it. And he didn't start in the week. I think Rondon's got an injury, which is... It's unfortunate, but it's probably the best news that Everton fans will feel they've heard for a long time, actually. And you're better off getting rid of that. That don't work. Rafa Benitez, I said to you in pre-season, my feeling was it was doomed to fail. Doomed to fail because many of the supporters at that football club were never going to take him on. And that ain't changing now. Don't matter what they do. They suddenly win 4 games in a row from game week 18. Terrific. It ain't going to make a difference. Everton are now in wasting time scenario. No matter, even if the person they appoint than Benitez might even be worse, I don't think they'll go down. I still think they've got enough quality generally in the likes of Decore, Mina, Calvert-Lewin, Richarlison, through the spine. The goalkeeper's all right. That's okay. I think they'll be all right. But it's probably about to get worse before it gets better.
My prediction for Everton is
we said 3-0 and 4-0 respectively prior to the game. That sums it up. Really, you think, blood and guts, Liverpool, it'll be difficult. Liverpool go down and win 2-1 or something. You and I were unanimous. Liverpool will batter them.
Here's my prediction for Everton. Fans will not like it. Someone will buy Dominic Calvert-Lewin in January. You see a club in crisis and you see an opportunity to put a 40-50 million pound bid in and take him, and I think someone will, especially because we're going to start talking about Tottenham in a minute, and you're best off selling Harry Kane and use that money and go and buy DCL. Do a swap deal. You might save them. Liverpool on the other side, are you captain Salah this weekend?
You haven't fucking impressed me. I'll talk about that in a bit. I might want to buy Ivan Toney instead, thanks.
Ivan Toney, yeah, fine. Look, I think clubs will be looking around saying, Everton in trouble. Can we do a cheeky deal in January to nick one of their assets in DCL? And I wouldn't surprise me if a couple put in 40-50 million pounds.
I think Calvert-Lewin will end up at Arsenal.
Interesting.
Next summer, not in January.
Liverpool. Captain Salah this weekend against Wolves? Or are you going to try and risk it for a biscuit with Kane?
I was going to say we'll talk about it when we get to it. So, for those who listen to Clash of Correspondence...
No.
So, Ricky and Tom, we previewed the Tottenham-Brentford game. We recorded it Tuesday night, basically straight after deadline. And a shout-out to my man Tom, who was digging me out for moving Toney to Wilson. There's my couple of middle fingers for you, mate, because that worked. Me and Ricky spoke about, obviously, taking Salah on this weekend with Kane. Now, firstly, it was recorded prior to the Merseyside derby. I went and did a kind of deep dive into my statistics of the season that prior to this, in fact, including this game week, there's only 3 game weeks this season I haven't captained Mo Salah, which were fixtures against Chelsea, Man City and Man United. So the sort of fixtures you think, I'll take him on. Big 4, big 6 opponent, whatever, right? You know what taking him on cost me? 31 points.
Wow. That's
31 points. And the players
I went 50k.
The players I went against him was Antonio against Palace when he scored twice. Salah still scored against Chelsea. I was 1 point up. I went Lukaku against Southampton, blanked. Salah goal and assist against City. And then I went Havertz against Norwich when Salah obviously exploded at Old Trafford.
Yeah, I mean, that was disastrous. Points. I mean, Chelsea scored 7 that day.
But rather than sitting 230k right now, Suj...
50k or something, yeah.
That's exactly where I'd be.
Yeah.
Basically. Not far off.
So what you're saying is you're not going to challenge Salah this weekend?
It's not worth it.
No.
And to be honest, I don't even really want to.
I'm going to let you talk about Spurs Brentford now. My only tuppence, I thought Spurs played well, and with the way the formation is, and I picked up Reguilon at 5.1, and he had a price rise overnight, as you'd expect when someone does well, to 5.2. I'm pretty sure.
I think so.
I don't mind sticking with Reguilon, even though I know you may not keep many clean sheets after this week. He's playing quite far forward. He had a shot or two. I think Reguilon now at 5.1, 5.2 might be a good option. I thought Spurs were better, definitely. There's something there more than previously, let's say.
Are we all right on the camera?
Yeah, I just did it.
Okay, I'm going to tell you some... I didn't even see you move.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you something that's... in fact, can everybody just turn the podcast off for a minute? Tottenham, since Conte have come in, expected goals conceded 0.79 per game. Now, admittedly...
Per game, okay. It's a goal a game, roughly.
It's under.
Under, but yeah.
Well, to put it in perspective compared to other teams, over the 4 game weeks, and this is per game, so it's not Tottenham have got an advantage because they played a game less. This is worked on average per game. The only team that's better over the last 4 game weeks for that is Manchester City. Over the 3 games so far, Tottenham have conceded 1 big chance, only the goal scored by Daniel James against Tottenham.
You played Everton and Brentford in that time.
No, correct. This is what I'm saying. And this is where you have to be careful with stats. Because despite putting that on the table to you and saying Norwich is next and there might be another clean sheet at the weekend, you're right. We've played Everton, Brentford, and a Leeds team without Rafinha, Bamford and Rodrigo. Right, exactly, yeah. Right?
Because I look at it and I'm like, okay, Spurs are right. And I'm like, okay, if there's improvement here, like even a crap Spurs should have gone to Everton and beaten them.
So, here's the thing, and I wrote for the advanced tier patrons about this last night, about Spurs defensively. This is the main focus of his work at the moment, Antonio Conte. There are certain patterns of play, the kind of Dyer to Kane pass, which are saw that the first night in Conference League game against Vitesse Arnhem. Don't worry, I won't be having much more of anything Europa, I should imagine, after this week. But I can see, for the first time in 2 years, a Tottenham team is being coached. I can physically see it. They move in unison off the ball. Ball goes right. Everybody moves in unison, the same distance to the left. Ball goes left. Everybody moves in the same unison, the opposite way. This sounds basic fundamentals of defensive play, but he is absolutely demanding of the players. And anybody who doesn't do it isn't going to play. And that's why, as much as I can look there and go, oh, please play on Ndombele in this game, it won't. Because you can't trust him to move simply 5 yards left to right when the ball moves across the pitch. He is working them so hard defensively. And Eric Dyer and Ben Davies are playing really well at the moment. Things you never thought you would hear come out of my mouth.
The only challenge you got there is the Davinson Sanchez next to him. After 3 minutes in that game,
point on this. Go on.
I was going to open up my betting app, but I just didn't, and put like £2 on Davinson Sanchez getting a yellow card, because I always just feel like that guy is spoiling for a fight. Did he get a yellow card yesterday in the end?
I don't think it was a booking in the game, actually.
Uh-huh.
Now, hands up. I got asked, obviously, ahead of these attractive 4 fixtures or so, Reggie or Emerson. And I had a preference for Emerson. And my preference for Emerson was based on fitness, basically. The fact that he can
then
get
you
up...
saw him try and cross it in the first half, and that was like, okay.
The fact that he can get up and down the pitch a lot more, and I saw a couple of defensive weaknesses that might have been basically the Leeds and the Norwich games that I thought might be beneficial to Emerson. Got it wrong, hands up. However, key point. There is a bias towards Tottenham, and this obviously happens with a lot of teams at the moment, a bias towards attacking down the left-hand side. Simple basic things like Ben Davies, as a left-sided centre-back, will take the throw-ins on the left-hand side. Davinson Sanchez, as the right-sided centre-back, won't on the right-hand side. It means, and Conte's teams like to do this, they adjust system within play. I also think that there was extra bias last night because where does Tony like to go?
Drift left.
Correct. Left-hand channel. Up against who?
Davinson Sanchez.
Correct. So I think Emerson Royal really played with the brakes on last night to make sure that they couldn't isolate, which they wanted to do, Tony 1v1 against Sanchez. Now, coming into the game on Sunday, less of a problem, that sort of thing. And Norwich have a weakness, which we know down the left-hand side rather than the right-hand side. And it might flip-flop the other way. However, I agree. I think you brought the right player out of Reguilon Emerson. If you were to buy one, yes, that's the one you would buy. but the fixtures do turn rougher again after Norwich. It's Brighton away, Leicester away, Liverpool at home. Then there's a couple of easier ones. There's a couple of more difficult ones. In my opinion, right now, Reguilon, I think, is probably too expensive to be a regular starter. But in FPL, on the simple basis that when those fixtures come around like Liverpool at home, you're going to leave him out. And maybe you shouldn't because of his position on the pitch. Who wants to leave a wing back out in FPL? You don't because of that. You get the one return and you know it's 12, 15 pointer if they keep it out at the other end. So I don't mind it, but he kind of falls in the too expensive to be a rotation option. And then for me, you're not that much more up to, the likes of, say, Cole Walker even.
It is a bit, though. It's the best part of $1 million, though.
What, for like Cole Walker? It's like 0.4 or something, isn't it?
Is he 5.5?
I think so.
6. Talk to me about you're coming off on Bomo, Tony, like anyone on Brentford attackers done and dusted.
No, I don't think so. I think there's everything.
Leeds, Watford, United, Southampton.
I think if you're sitting down, I know there's a lot of people last night had sort of like 4 attacking players in that fixture, and they're looking at it again and go, I want to get this player, but Brentford have got Leeds and Tottenham have got Norwich. It's to sell the Brentford player now, honestly. Tony, really good player. And Bumo, he had one unbelievable volley from about 30 yards. He hit it, beautiful technique, went wide. But also, in the game last night, they changed and took Canos off, and Bumo went to right wing back. And I've been conscious for a little while that once Visser gets back fit, how are they going to use him? Now, that might be one way that you use him. Sergi Canos, I think, generally probably pretty nailed somewhere within that Brentford system. But I'd be a little bit conscious like that. You don't want to hold him if he's going to play wing back. Now, I suspect against Leeds, he's not going to play wing back. But guess what? With Leeds, they're probably going to play a back three because they will expect Brentford to play a front two. I think Visser's getting closer and closer. He's definitely going to get some minutes over this Christmas period. And Bumo, I think, is an easy sell.
Man United 3, Arsenal 2. Nice.
By the way, just shout out, Bree, it's nothing to do with FPL, but we spoke about him a lot in Sky. Really impressed with Christian Norgard last night for Brentford.
Yeah, 4.2, pick me up, which I'll take for 6 point whatever in Sky.
Really good. He controls the game really nicely.
Cristiano Ronaldo warming up nicely for this great run that United go into.
He said he scored, didn't we? Certainty.
And now, his achievement of 800 club and country goals.
Did you watch the game?
Is a joke. Just bits and pieces. I didn't watch it religiously. I watched your game first, actually, to be honest with you.
I don't need to. I'm at Tottenham. Watch that game.
That's true. I suppose I was just hoping you'd lose and then I'd have something to laugh about. But look, Arsenal will be, I don't know, will they be happy scoring 2?
Would they be happy? No, they got beat, mate.
Narrow defeat. Going to Old Trafford. Historically, they could have got a slap.
They went there and won last year.
Yeah.
Interestingly, Mohamed El Neni, when they went there and won, obviously it's behind closed doors. But when I saw the team, I instantly remembered that El Neni was fantastic at Old Trafford last season. And I wonder if that's why he played. To be honest, I've seen so little of this game, I can't give you anything on it. Obviously, Saka was left out. I presume that was a little bit precautionary. He'll probably come back in.
Because he's not good enough. His injury issues, so...
I think that Odegaard playing the 10 position is going to stay for a little bit till Arteta gets a bit bored and then it will change again.
Lacazette coming back in that hole? He played there a few games and it was Smith Rowe, Lacazette and Saka behind Aubameyang.
When Adam came on COTC the other week, spoke about creativity problems. And I said to him, I really like Lacazette. I think actually as a 10, Lacazette does some really good defensive work actually. But I think he feels that Odegaard just gives them a little bit more creativity, which is understandable in that area. And therefore, he's going to continue to get minutes. Smith Rowe's the one to look at. I have no idea if Tavares is going to stay in the team. This is exactly the same as kind of we discussed on Monday, and we praised his performance against whoever they played last week. Suj, you're going to remind me now. I can't remember because I was going to Manchester, Newcastle.
Yeah, comfortable win.
In terms of me, wildcard, short term, Ramsdale, Smith Rowe.
Ramsdale's gone up to 4.9 now. You think he's still good value?
I think it's close. Whether I go him, De Gea, come down to kind of Sanchez level, I haven't decided yet. It's close between him and De Gea. I see no reason why Ranić is going to pick Henderson over De Gea, personally.
Yeah, me neither. I think De Gea will play.
But they're shit defensively. And what I did see of the game last night was the last 15 minutes. I mean, to be honest, if Arsenal had been a little bit braver, Saka kept getting in on the back post and stuff. Actually, if Arsenal had an aerial player on the back post, I think it would have done some damage. But United had a few players missing as well. And the one thing I think is really important with United, it's easy to look up now and go, defensively it's shit, yada, 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 yada. When Varane gets back, I'm absolutely certain they'll be a lot better. And there are too many fixtures there. Like, for example, they play... I'm going to be wildcarding into Norwich and Brentford successfully. I'm telling you, they could be back-to-back clean sheets. Mm-hmm. So I am really interested. And to be honest, the one defensively that I look at is still Shaw. I mean, he's going to drop to 5.0, isn't he?
Yeah.
That drops far enough that I think it swings so far the other way and you go, I want to be interested in him. Now, I don't know why he still missed out last night because I thought he'd missed the Chelsea game because
he's flagged at the moment still.
What's they saying is the reason? It's not concussion, surely.
It says head injury.
Still?
75% chance of playing.
Okay. We'll keep an eye on that. I mean, it's not a decision for me this week. It's a decision for me next week. But, Ronaldo definitely been on that wild card for me. I've maintained solidly all this week, really importantly for anyone who's asked me, is Ronaldo will play. I do not buy into this idea that Manchester United cannot press without Cristiano Ronaldo. You can do it. Absolutely certain that they can do it. And I think you could have a very big month. Those fixtures they've got are too good. And I can understand people sitting there with Kane and thinking, Vardy at Villa, then Newcastle, or Ronaldo against Palace, and then amazing fixtures. I get it. Personally, give Harry Norwich and then bomb him out would be what I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, you can't be selling Harry Kane before Norwich.
Well, you can, mate, because he's got 2 attacking returns all season.
I get it. I mean, look, I want to sell him. I cannot sell him before Norwich.
Can I give you a statistic on Harry Kane last night? I didn't think he played very well. He did have one big chance, which he had on his left foot. Oliver skipped past him through. Yeah. No player this game week made more key passes than Harry Kane.
Wow.
I wish Harry Kane was on the end of those fucking key passes.
I can give you a Kane statistic.
And that's the big problem. I told you it's creativity. Who's going to get Kane the ball? The second goal, Reguilon's run into Son tapping. Why does it happen? Because the man's got the ability to turn on the halfway line and send his man away. I'd like that someone else can send Reguilon away so Kane can stay centrally and be on the end of the cross.
I had a Kane stat as well.
Go on, Em.
Percentage desire to be at Spurs, 0. But that's a debate for another day.
Can I tell you something truthfully? And let me sum up Harry Kane, right? If I can be in Jennifer Lawrence's house, I would like to be.
She's like a singer, fit singer, isn't she? Good looking singer.
Actress.
Okay. I'm not in pop culture these days. I'm an old man.
Scarlett Johansson, whatever, right?
Oh, okay. If you were in one of their houses.
If I can be in their house, I'm probably a little bit happier. But you know what? I'm not unhappy with my wife. She's all right.
She's a legend.
Now, Tottenham are Harry Kane's wife. There are better wives out there, but it doesn't mean you should necessarily get a divorce. Harry Kane doesn't not want to be at Tottenham. He loves Tottenham. But Harry Kane knows that there's better options out there in his life. Now, it's up to financials and Harry Kane, whether he stays happy. And he's been with his missus since they were about 15, 16, I think. So he's quite loyal.
Like 7 kids.
He says.
Yeah.
No, only 4. To be honest, he kept having girls, didn't he? So I think he just kept trying for a boy, I think. Harry Kane doesn't not want to be at Tottenham. It's not like Harry Kane hates Tottenham.
No.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course. So it's all fun and games, but I think the longer it goes on, for non-Spurs fans, all the Spurs fans that I know generally are defending him to the hilt, right? As you would. He's been your best player for how many years? He's scored so many goals.
Look at that guy. He's got Kane's box for an home game. He was slagging him off a couple of months ago.
And yeah, don't get me wrong, there are. But I think it's one of those things that you can easily do to wind people up, right? It's like Salah with Liverpool. When you go after the star man, it's the easiest way to...
It's just tiring talking about it.
Yeah. I forgot to tweet on the other day. Salah, if he carries on at the rate he's going, he's got to be a shoo-in for second in Ballon d'Or, hasn't he?
Good one.
Right.
He's also a shoo-in for about 450 FPL points, the way it's going unbelievably. Yeah, I'd not seen a lot of the United Arsenal game last night, so there's not too much I can add on it, in all honesty. But Tweet is my cap playing over 3-5. Probably most of you know more about a game than me, in fairness. So
Good. Listeners, we are going to go through the Twitter questions that we've had in, and then we'll give you a rundown of what we got left this week. Well, there's not. There's just a deadline stream tomorrow, and what else today? That's it. Patrons are getting a differential show. And if you want to join our Patreon, patreon.com/Planet FPL. It's a great month to do it, because everybody's getting bumped up a tier. So all of the basic tier patrons will get all of the intermediate tier content. All the intermediate tier patrons will get the advanced tier content, and the advanced tiers are getting even more stuff as well. A great month to try it out. And in addition to that, you get access to our Slack channel. We have some prize leagues and so much more. Thank you to all our patrons, because we've crossed over 500 this week. What an army. I'd love to one day have all the patrons in one room. Like, that would be the most amazing thing. It's never going to happen, but
no, that's impossible.
But imagine that.
They're all over the world.
Imagine that. Right, we're going to answer some Twitter questions, James, but we're only going to answer the Twitter questions that came in that are not about football.
Oh, I love you, mate.
And we're back by Joe. You're not going to love me after this question.
Oh no, it's about Kane.
No, would you rather? No,
so
it's not
bored,
about football.
so
it's not
bored.
about football. I mean, it might be about Kane.
About he played all right last night. So did Sonny, by the way.
It might be about Kane. Would you rather have sex with a dog and nobody in the world knows you did it? Or would you rather not have sex with a dog and everybody in the world thinks you did it? Option B for me, because I really don't care what anybody thinks anyway.
Yeah, definitely, mate.
My level of external referencing and caring what other people think is so low that I couldn't care less.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on that.
Less.
I give a shit.
I'd actually probably, if everyone thinks I did it, I'd probably try and make a career out of it. Go around giving like TED Talks about, that kind of stuff. So if they're paying, I'm talking.
Yeah, Suj would try and brand it. Suj the dogger.
I'd try and charge a fee for coming. Right, Dan Wright. What goes best with mince pies? Regular double cream, brandy cream, or condensed milk? Condensed milk's a bit thick and too sweet for me.
I'm not big on mince pies, mate.
Double cream is good. Or I'm going to go... Brandy cream's best, but then double cream and then condensed milk. You don't like mince pies?
No.
What?
Shit.
It doesn't like the taste.
I realise that's going to cause some rage. Humbug.
Dan wants to know, what's the favourite ground you visited apart from your own clubs, James?
Favourite ground? That's difficult. When you say favourite and best, there might be different answers. My favourite, Dortmund.
Okay. Yeah, the yellow wall and all that.
Yeah.
Right.
It's very close to the best, by the way, as well.
Yeah. This is strictly a football question, but it's non-FPL. Ultra close, Darren. Do you think...
No, sorry.
Yeah.
Johan Cruyff Arena, man. I got too many happy memories.
Of course. I mean, that's biased a little bit from the football that you saw there rather than the stadium, of course. Ultra close, Darren. Do you think this could be the best three-way title race we've seen in a long time? Like, it's going to be... What I like about it is that they're all different, right? You've got Chelsea that are just the efficient German machine, defensively so good. And then you've got Liverpool that are just rock and roll at the moment. They are tearing it up. Average of over 3 goals a game in the Premier League so far this season.
Phenomenal.
Mental, bro. And I love it as well. I love watching them play. And then City, they dominate teams off the park. So, yes, I would say.
I think this is a really big month for Chelsea. I genuinely think you might beat them tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh, Java asked me a question. Does he look tired?
Antonio.
Well, yeah, but also no. I mean, he ran his socks off against City the game before. It didn't seem like he had any fitness issues, but then the whole team looked leggy and tired. The mistakes they were making were sloppy, tired mistakes, not lack of effort mistakes. So, yeah, he does.
I thought Lucas Moura looked a bit tired last night.
Interesting.
He's scoring Sunday.
Right. Jimmy the Claret, what's the biggest animal you reckon you could beat in a bare knuckle fight? We talked about it. Was that was last time.
We were clean feeling, so you said a giraffe.
Yeah, I could have because of the legs. So Bobby Love said that he reckons an ostrich because they don't even have hands. I'm telling you, Bobby, and I put it on Twitter. No chance, mate. An ostrich would fuck you up. They are lethal. They are lethal.
A spider.
Yeah, something small. Mate. We ain't doing none of that.
Gerbil or something.
Yeah.
Hamster.
Indeed. And there was one other. Oh, therapy. Stian, this is an interesting question, James. We'll wrap it up with. If you had to slaughter your own animals in every restaurant you went to, would that be enough to turn you vegetarian? And I said yes, and it would. And I mean, to be honest with you, I'm drifting that way. As you get older, like red meat, for example, my body is like, yeah, if you're going to eat a steak, I'm going to fuck you up for 2 days afterwards.
Good.
Burgers generally are all right, ground beef, but I'm moving more and more towards less meat in my diet anyway, especially red meat, and then chicken and fish mainly. So yeah, I want to move towards it.
Fuck it, it's December. Don't ask me those sort of questions in December. Ask me in January, I might say yes.
And that is it. That is the questions. It's a quite quick turnaround, so we kept it a bit shorter than normal, I think. I have no idea. I hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you are listening to the podcast, especially Spotify, because then they'll tell you how many minutes you might have listened to us. And once again, a massive appreciation to all of you for listening. If you're on YouTube, do what you got to: smash a like, subscribe, share it, tell your friends and family and anybody else that you want to, even if they don't like football. The more listeners, the merrier. And we'll be back at you on Monday reviewing this weekend's games. So stay safe, my friends. Ciao for now.
Thanks, everyone. Be nice to each other. Hope your hours are green. Cue music, please, man child.